Okay, so a few of you are still having trouble with this question, so let's take a look at it. You got to be able to do these type of problems, and I know there's no table and there's no picture, but we can make and create tables and pictures based on what we have here. A recipe calls for 1.5 quarts of sparkling water. Okay, so we have 1.5 quarts sparkling water and three fourths grape juice. Okay, so before you even read the second part of the question, you know that you need 1.5 quarts of sparkling water and three-fourths quarts of grape juice. So I'm going to make a table. I'm not even doing any of my question yet. I'm just going to make a table because this is what we've been working on. Proportional relationships, creating tables. Okay, and I'm going to put sparkling water over here. For those of you who don't like to write, you could just write SW. This is my x-axis. And then I know I have 1.5. And then on this side, the other part of my recipe is grape juice. Again, if you don't like to write, you could just write GJ. That's a little confusing, but grape juice, that's my Y, and I have three-fourths. I have less grape juice than I do sparkling water. So I know I'm decreasing in size with my ratio. I know I have less grape juice than sparkling water. Okay, so now let's read question 1. This part's done. How much sparkling water do I need? Okay, sparkling water. How much sparkling water? So that's my missing number. How much? I don't know. Do I need if I have 9 quarts of grape juice? So that they're giving us 9 quarts. Okay, don't worry about the math yet. All right, third question. How much grape juice? Okay, that's this side. Do I need? So I'm looking for my grape juice. If I have 15/4 quarts of sparkling water. Okay, so now I have a table. My table's done. So I can find the answers to question number 1 and question number 2 very easily. So this here is question number 1, the first one. So I'm going to write number 1. And this is the answer for number 2. Here is the information that I'm going to use to find these 2 missing numbers. So what we've been doing the whole entire school year so far, we're trying to find 1.5 times what will give me three-fourths, because this is the constant that you're going to use to help you find the other missing numbers. So the sentence is, and if you don't like using fractions, mixed numbers, you can use decimals. So this is 1.5, which is 1.5, times something, and I'm writing it both ways so you can see that you can use decimals or fractions, times something will equal three-fourths, or 0 and 75/100ths. So this is a finding the missing number, and just like we've been talking about, when you're finding the missing number, you're working it backwards, you're going to divide. So I'm going to use decimals, and I'm going to use a calculator just to kind of make it easier. If I have my calculator here. Okay, let me pull that up. All right, so I'm going to use my decimals. 0.75 divided by 1.5, because remember, I'm trying to find the missing number. So when I'm finding the missing number, I'm actually dividing. When it's multiplication, I'm working backwards, the inverse. 0.75 divided by 1.5. Oh, look at that. 0.5. Well, I know what 0.5 is. That's a half. I could leave it in decimal form, or I could write it as a fraction. So I just figured out my constant. My constant is a half. 1/2. 1/2. Okay? 1/2. So that's my constant. And remember, you can write it as a decimal or a fraction. 1/2 or 0.5. All right, so now we have everything we need. What times a half is 9? What times a half is 9? Remember, multiplying by a half is the same thing as dividing. So I could either just do 9 times 2, or I could do what cut in half is 9. What cut in half is 9? 18. And then you could check it with a calculator. You could just double check. I mean, I know 18 cut in half is 9, but 18 times 0.5 is 9. Or I could look at it as 18 divided by 2, because 1/2 is the same, multiplying by a half is the same as dividing by 2. All right, this one's even easier. Watch how easy this is. 15/4. A lot of kids get a little freaked out about 15/4, but you can go straight across with this. 15/4 times 1/2. You don't even have to convert it to decimals. Watch how easy this is. And that is going to be equal to my grape juice, which is just 15/8. This answer would have been acceptable. If you put this into the answer, 15/8 would have been a perfectly fine answer. Some students also put 1 7/8. And if you used a decimal here and you changed this to a mixed number, because 15/4 is the same as 3 3/4, or 3.75. And again, these conversions are stuff that you really need to know how to do. So that goes back to like 4th and 5th grade math. 15/4 is how many 4s go into 15? 3 with 3 left over. 3 3/4, 3.75. So watch, I'm going to use decimals. 3.75 times 3.75 times 0.5. And look at my answer. It's actually 1 7/8. This decimal is equivalent to 7/8. And you may or may not know that, and that's fine. And that's why I told you if you used decimals and if you put 1.78 into the calculator, I would have accepted it. Because all of this is the decimal form of the fraction 1 7/8. It's this easy, guys. So I really need you all, those of you who are still having trouble with this, when you're dealing with a situation like this with a recipe and it calls for so much of something and so much of something else, before you do any work, you need to set up a table. It doesn't even matter. You could have put grape juice on this side and sparkling water on this side. It would have worked out the same. It just, your constant would have been 2 instead of 1/2. Okay, so really doesn't matter which side you use. You would have gotten the answer. You just have to make sure you match the sparkling waters with the same side and the grapes juices with the same side. That's why I color code it. Okay, green for sparkling water, purple for grape juice.